3D Thumper Acrylic Nail Art Tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish.
Hi everybody! In today's video I'm going to be showing you the next one of my little Bambi set, and this one is going to be for Thumper. So it's got little Thumper on there with the really pretty sparkly green background, and it goes just with the other two great. If you missed Bambi, there will be a link to that one in the description box below, and Flower will be uploaded tomorrow, so check back for that, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well.
I'm going to begin with an overlay of a very glittery green, so I did the same color background for these three characters in this little mini series, something just to tie them all together. Whenever I'm doing a series like that, I like to keep an element like that the same, so I think that just, like I said, kind of ties it together. If you were doing these in a set and you wanted to give each one their own special little background color, definitely go for it. I would choose something kind of bright and springy regardless of what you go with. And then I'm going to start filing it with my E-file, starting with a coarse bit to remove any bulk, switching to a finer bit to smooth out the surface texture and make sure it is really nice and smooth. And then I'm going to take and start sculpting Thumper with gray. So I'm going to begin with the head. I ended up with a little bit extra acrylic in there, so I just took some off with my brush. And I know that every once in a while somebody will say that I always get the exact right bead, or that my texture of my acrylic beads is always perfect, or whatever. If I'm picking up a bead of acrylic and I look at it and it's not right, I look at it and I'm like, ooh, that is a little bit too powdery. I get rid of it. I don't try to work with it. Or if I pick a bead up, I'm like, ooh, that's really thin. I get rid of it. Or in that case, sometimes you can dip it again and you can get a better texture. But part of it is, and this is something that I always say with my art too, is that one of the best skills you can have is knowing when something isn't wrong and knowing to fix it. So if you look at your bead of acrylic and you know that it just isn't going to be the best, don't even try to use it. Just wipe it off on your towel and be like, okay, that one was a bad one. I'm going to do it again. And pretty soon you're going to notice that that happens rarely, because the more you catch yourself on things like that, the more you are conscious of fixing it. So just keep that in mind, that every bead you pick up does not have to be the perfect texture, because it won't be. It's unrealistic. But the more that you practice and the more that you tell yourself that what you're doing could be better, the better it will get. So after that little rambling on, little bit of wisdom from me, I am going to just really quickly tell you what's happened. So I took and I did the gray for his head, and then I took a cream color, it's a cover pink, but I did his cheeks and his chest and in his eye sockets. Now my color of my off-white cream beige color is really not very opaque at all, and you'll see eventually that I painted over it because it just wasn't colorful enough. It wasn't as rich of a color as I was hoping for. If you have one that's a better color, a little bit more opaque, more of a cream color, definitely use that acrylic. Don't worry about using a cover pink. This is just the one that I was looking at my colors. I'm like, you know what? This one's the best choice I have. So I went with it. And if that happens, if you don't have a color of acrylic that works for a design, regardless of what color it is, even if it's like, man, I don't have green acrylic, just paint over it. You use any color you want and paint over it. That works for sure. So now with black acrylic paint, I'm going to take and start out my outlines. So I just went and I'm outlining basically absolutely everything. And if you guys are looking at your outlines and they're too thick, which is also something that happens, there's two fixes for it. Either you've got three things that could be wrong. I know I said two, but there's three things that could be wrong. Either your brush isn't the right brush, your paint is not the right paint, or your techniques are not the right techniques. And I know that seems like an obvious thing, but two of those things are very easy to fix. If your brush isn't the right brush, either cut it down from the sides, so that you don't want to cut the length of the brush ever, but you can trim hairs off from around it to thin it out. That works. Buy a new brush that's thinner. That is a less ideal and less quick fix, but that is something that could definitely make a difference for you. And so that's the two things to fix your brush. If your acrylic paint isn't the right acrylic paint, chances are you can fix it by thinning it out a little bit. So one thing I like to do whenever I get a new bottle of acrylic paint is I put like 4 drops of water, and I know that doesn't sound like much in a new bottle, but it makes a huge difference. So just put a couple drops in it and then shake it up. That amount of water isn't going to be enough to ruin the opacity of the paint, but it will be enough to thin it out and make it a more workable consistency. Otherwise, look at different brands of paint. They're not really all of that expensive, so if you have to try 2-3 brands before you find one that works better for you, that might be something that you have to consider. Me personally, my favorite brand is Americana, especially for black and white. I think that brand is heads and tails way above the rest. This is in acrylic craft paint. So if you guys are looking at more high quality acrylic paints that are maybe made for nails, that you can definitely use those. I personally am happy with my Americana, and I don't know for sure where everybody can find that brand necessarily, but that's the one that I've used that I like the best. So as I said, I painted over all of those peach creamy sections with a different color with acrylic paint, and that worked just fine, so that's always an option. And I added white in his eyes, and I'm going to go through and add some brown for the irises, and then black pupils. Touch up the white here and there if it needs it. And the other great thing, if you end up painting over some of your characters with acrylic paint, is that you can always use that same color and fix something by painting over again. So you don't have to worry about, like if I were to mess up and paint into my gray acrylic, I'd have to buff it off because I don't have that exact same color of paint. But there's always options when you have something that goes wrong. Apply some gel sealer over the background, some matte top coat over Thumper, and you are all done. I hope you guys are enjoying this little series as much as I am. I'm really excited for Flower, which is in tomorrow's video, so come back and check him out. Otherwise, there will be links to all the videos in the description box below, so check those out, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!